Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Thursday, the 3rd of July. This video is for educational purpose only. There is no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended doing this. And let's start with Apple today that yesterday tested the 100 moving average and the resistance here around 213.30. That seems to be stopping a little bit. However, RSI positive sentiment likely to push higher and closing this gap here up to 217. And if it does, well, then there's room up to 225.26. Another one that has been moving the market a lot lately has been, or the past few months, has been Microsoft. After gapping higher, it's been just crawling almost day by day higher, but now it seems to be forming a top and reversal pattern. We do have divergence, I believe, if I add a horizontal line there. No, that's just a tad, actually. So, but we do have a top and reversal pattern like here, where we have a doji, we have a bearish candle here. It's not the most perfect one, but I think we will see it setting back a little bit, maybe testing this lower rising trend line here. Could dip down to 480, but we are still in a strong uptrend. And there was actually no divergence. There was a little bit here on the top here, which we can see these peaks here, but not much to, so we could possibly see it moving higher. Also, Nvidia and semiconductors had a good day yesterday. And they seem to keep moving higher. There's no divergence, and as we can see here on an index, actually a new all-time high. No, not an all-time high. We are still high up there, but we are pushing towards 250 to 60 level, possibly higher here in the coming days and weeks on semiconductors. On index levels, well, we saw the Nasdaq 100 pushing higher yesterday after the day before, where we had a little bit of a setback, which was not unsurprising. The Nasdaq is likely to push higher and make a new all-time high here in the coming days, and pre-market we are also up a tad. We are in a bullish trend. There is no divergence on the RSI, and we are likely to push higher. It is really the same picture on S&P 500, as you can see here. It was not much of a setback, so a bullish trend. Also the same on Dow Jones. They took a little bit of breather yesterday. Still below its all-time highs, but it seems to be pushing higher. And if we're just looking at S&P 500 again pre-market, we can see it also pushing a little bit higher. So I think we do have a nice and sweet summer rally here. Let's see how long it will last. And if we get the top reversal pattern in place, then I will talk about it. In Asian session, we have Seng. That was also a little bit lower. That was set back a little bit today. We have support here, 23,827. We are still in a bullish trend, but it seems a little bit fragile at the moment. And we can actually draw a bit of a trend line that might give some support here. It could test that area and the support we talked about there. But if it starts pushing back above 24,500, then uptrend is likely to resume. Correction phase keeps going here on Nikkei, not much though, but setting back to 39,181 at the 38.2 retracement is not unlikely. However, there is positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels on Nikkei. On the European markets, a little bit positive yesterday, but still below 5,345 resistance, and that is what is need to close above to resume bullish trend. So keep an eye on that here. Pre-market just up a tad, but still below it. And DAX can't make up its mind, dancing around this 23,740. Seems like a pivot point there. RSI still negative. It got rejected at the 60 threshold here a few days ago, so that will be key towards if it can close back above 60 threshold in a fresh push higher. We are above the cloud, we are above all moving averages, so we should see the German leading index pushing higher. We can see a pre-market also pushing higher a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if we could see that we will extend this bounce here and possibly with a push up to previous all-time highs. Euro dollar taking a breather here the past few days. Looks a little bit short-term toppies. We could see a setback to 116.80 area, which is a 38.2 retracement, maybe a little bit lower to test the rising trend line. but we are in an uptrend. And just to recap what we're talking about, we have 118 resistance area here that seems to be a hard nut really to crack. I mean, it has spiked a little bit higher, but I think we could see a little bit of a setback in this bullish trend. On the cable or sterling dollar, we got the correction yesterday to 50% of this uptrend here, and then it closed back at the support area here at 136.35. Where it's dancing now, could bounce from here, and if it does start crawling higher here, then expect to push higher. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then we could see it's selling off further to 135.20, 134.50. Euro sterling, on the other hand, really on the move yesterday, and we talked about the possibility of getting up to the 786 retracement at 86.55, and it did. Spiked a little bit higher. There's no divergence on the positive RSI, indicating likely higher levels. So if it takes out the peak from yesterday at 86.70, then I think we'll see a push up to around 87.50, but maybe a little bit of a setback here on the day. Dollar yen, well, dancing around this rising trend line here. If it takes out the lows from the 1st of July at 142.65, well, then expect also 142 to be taken out and pushed down to 140. But for now, it's still holding on. The euro yen, could it continue to push higher if it takes out the peak here at 169.90? I always add a little bit just to make sure, especially since we are in these over-the-counter market. So 169.90. If it takes out that, then expect to push up to 171 and higher, and that will also mean that the RSI has broken its falling trend line there. Aussie yen, still this 94.85 resistance. It needs to take out. The sterling yen corrected. We talked about the risk of correcting below the 196.40, and it did, and testing the lower rising trend line and bouncing. And if it starts crawling back above 197, then I think uptrend will resume. Aussie dollar, well, still above 65.55 after breaking above it. Can't really gain momentum. It's still the 200 moving actually, I think that is dragging on a little bit. However, the other moving averages are rising. We are in a positive sentiment, but it's not the most convincing one. But there should be room up to 66.20, possibly 66.5. Dollar Canada, well, still dancing around this 786 retracement at 135.95. We are in a bearish trend. There is no divergence on the RSI here, and indicating likely lower levels. So if it starts sliding here again, I think we will see it lower towards 135 and lower than that. Sterling Canada, massive correction yesterday, 61.8 and just above the cloud, and the 55 moving average where it finds some support just above 185. Didn't dip all the way down to just a few pips from it, and likely to bounce. Let's remove this one, it's a bit obsolete now. So let's see if it takes out the lows from yesterday. Well, then we are looking at 184.20. Other than that, I think we will bounce here and maybe slowly start crawling higher. On the Swiss franc, I still believe eventually it will take out the support down here. So keep an eye on that, just below 93. That is a key support. We are in a negative sentiment. We are slightly better, and we are below all moving averages. We are below the cloud. So I'm leaning to the bearish side. Dollar Swiss, the bounce can't get momentum if it takes out the lows there from a few days ago at 78.70. Well, then we're looking at 77.70 down here, but I still believe we will have a little bit of a bounce up to around 80. The dollar index, almost the same picture here. If it takes out the 96, which was the 96 even, then I think we'll see it down to around 95.12, but there should be bouncing potential up to at least testing this upper falling trend line there. Gold, let's just resize it a bit. Gold has bounced not all the way up to 61.8 retracement. I think it will. We will see that, but it is the 3,400 that is key resistance and close above. Well, then we're back to bullish trend. The silver that seems to be maybe resuming uptrend here. flirting with this little peak up here, and I think we could see it crawling higher. If it takes out the peak there at 37.32, well, then the uptrend has been confirmed with a potential higher towards 38.39. The platinum, strong move yesterday, very close to its previous peak. If it takes out that, then we're looking at 15.20. Copper is on the move, reads 138.2 projection of this correction here. I still think we could see it pushing up to 528, 533, and then we are back here in these range here, back from March. On the energy market, we have WTI bouncing, and I'm highlighting this Fibonacci set here that we have bounced from, and I think we could bounce further to the 200 moving average, possibly up to 69.50, which is the 38.2 retracement. On the Brent crude oil, I think we'll also see that bounce, and let me show you the bounce here. So that's how I measure it, and 38.2 is the same as the 50% of this uptrend here. So we could see the crude oil here. Here's the Brent up to around the 200 moving average, and so just around $72 is not unlikely. On the other hand, if it takes out the lows here, in this case here 66.34, well, then we are down to 62.5. The European nat gas, not really doing much. It could bounce up to around 35, but it's in a bearish trend. We have the US nat gas flirting again with the 61.8 here at 350. If it moves back above the cloud, then we're looking at 375. It takes out the lows there from a few days ago at 329. Then we are looking at around $3. US 10-year Treasury yields seems to keep bouncing here. Can it get up to this area where we have all the moving averages? I think we will get up there, but if it takes out the lows here from a few days ago at 417, then the 412 could come under pressure, that support down there. So let's see about that. We have the European Treasury yield that yesterday pushed above 260, and I think we could see it testing 265, which is the 786 retracement of this downtrend here. On the UK, and maybe that was also what was pushing the European ones, a massive move here in the yields yesterday, taking it just above the 61.8 retracement, sat back a little bit, but it seems like we have turned the tide and we could push higher here in the coming days and weeks. On Bitcoin, also crawling a little bit higher, and it's now challenging this little peak here. I think it will challenge and test the 112,000 fairly shortly. The Ethereum again pushing towards the 61.8 retracement. I think we'll see it push up to around 2,700 in the coming days. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day. I'll talk to you again later.